Hey Pika fam, long time no see. Today I have my 9.1.5 Mage Tower Guide for Protection Warriors. First off, I want to apologize for the lack of content on the YouTube channel. Things have just been really busy, but I'm hoping to really get back into it, especially with 9.2 coming around the corner. So, if there's any content that you guys want to see, feel free to message me either on my Discord or leave a comment below. Without further ado, let's get started. So first off, let's talk a little about talents. So the talents that I chose for the Mage Tower event were Devastator, Double Time, Booming Voice, Crackling Thunder, Indomitable, Ravager, and Anger Management. So I chose Booming Voice more for the single target, and it's also really good to pair with the second phase of the Mage Tower, where you fight Cruel directly. This is because every time you hit Demo Shell, you also have enough rage to use Shield Block, and this is like a major concern because you lose a lot of that player power, things of like either from your Covenant abilities or from your Legendary, which give you a lot of opportunity for Shield Block because of Reprisal. So by using Booming Voice, you get that big 40 rage, and also it's better in single target damage. So it's good for P1 and P2. I chose Crackling Thunder, so as I'm keep kiting away from the Infernos that are trying to knock you off, I always can hit everything around me, and I can also still hit the first mob in P1 without actually standing in a circle using Thunderclap. I chose Indomitable because it still does about 20% passive healing without needing for an extra GCD. This again just helps me while I'm kiting. Helps you throughout the entirety of the fight without having to use an extra healing. Don't get me wrong, Victory Rush will be majority of your healing in this fight due to all the little ads, but Indomitable just gives you a little bit extra that you don't really have to worry about, like killing an ad just to get that extra bonus healing. Then I chose Ravager. I did that because whenever the ads run at Velen and you have to protect him, it's great to just drop the Ravager. It'll get all the threat off of him, and also it'll just help you clean up the ads both in P1 and P2 really easily. It also gives you a ton of rage whenever you do need to kill the ads, so it's very perfect for this fight. You can run into the Fray. It's also a really strong talent in this Mage Tower, but personally, after both testing into the Fray and Ravager, I preferred Ravager because it just helped me deal with the ads so much easier. And finally, for the last talent row, you go Anger Management. That's just because you get more Avatar uptime, a lot more damage overall through the fight. You don't really need that high shield block uptime, especially since in P1 it's basically a ton of magic damage. A lot of things you can spell reflect, you can use it for the DR. But yeah, Anger Management is the play for this Mage Tower challenge. Next off, we're going to talk a little bit about Consumables. Consumables that I went with this challenge is the Unbridled Potion of Unbridled Fury. It does about 5.3% of my overall damage. I only use one potion in the whole fight, and that's on Cruel in P2, because that is like a little bit of a DPS race. Then I use Drums of Deathly Ferocity, because no lust, so you want to pick out those drums. And then I chose the Fried Bonefish as the food buff, because you do get a little bit of speed whenever you're killing enemies. So it helps you, do a lot of that kiting, a lot of that circling around the boss, and dodging any mechanics that you have to do. So that little bit of speed bonus is just very, very helpful. And then the typical things, I chose Shadow Core Oil, just because it's more single target damage, and then a Spectral Flask of Power, as well as the Veiled Augment Rune. Okay, so why don't we now jump in to see the rest of the fight. Alright guys, before we get started, let's talk about a couple of things. First, in P1, there's going to be about 3 different abilities from Inquisitor Varus that you need to be worrying about. One is Aura of Decay. This is a big black circle around the boss that gives you a necrotic stack, Aura of Decay stack, reducing your maximum health per stack. You want to have about between 5 to 8 stacks of this before you get out of the circle at any time. Any more than that, and you risk dying to the Mind Rend abilities that the boss is spamming, or just any regular ad damage. So you only want to stay in the Aura of Decay for about 5 to 8 stacks. The next thing it does is the Mind Rend ability. This is an uninterruptible cast from Varus that deals moderate damage to the target. You don't have to worry too much about this. You can interrupt it if you like, but generally you want to save your interrupt for the next ability, which is called Drain Life. Drain Life is an interruptible cast that drains health from either you or from Prophet Velen. This is the ability that has to be stopped. It rapidly heals the boss whenever it is able to be channeled. You can stop this either through interrupting it, shockwaving it, or fearing it. Or if you are running Stormbolt, Stormbolting it as well. This is the highest priority in P1, so make sure you stop it. The other thing you need to worry about is Tormenting Orbs. Tormenting Orbs have quite low health. They die to 1 Shield Slam, or for me, even 1 Volpera racial ability in Bag of Tricks. They also cast Inquisitive Stare, which is a channeled spell that when completed knocks the target back if you're not looking directly at the eye. So whenever the channel is happening on you, make sure that you either kill the eye or you're always facing that target. Finally, there is Smoldering Infernos and Nether Horrors that spawn throughout the fight. The Smoldering Infernos do something called Fell Resonation, which the Inferno will lose 10% of damage but will deal minor fire damage AoE around the Inferno. This occurs when the Inferno reaches about 20% health, but at that point also the Inferno takes bonus physical damage. This is something you have to really worry about. The other thing you have to worry about a lot is Smash. The Inferno will smash in a straight line in front of it, knocking enemies back. This is typically what's going to happen to you and cause a lot of deaths for you or any tanks in P1. This is an ability that will knock you off the platform or knock you into bat or knock you away from whatever you're trying to do. Should just be careful about getting hit by that. It's a really good idea to just kind of keep moving throughout the whole fight for this. Finally, Nether Horrors will periodically spawn in the middle of the fight. These are 4 ghost adds. They'll apply Psi Talons to you, and what Psi Talons do is increase the amount of damage, arcane damage that you're taking by about 10% per stack. This can also be reflected, and once reflected, they do take a lot of damage, which also might just kill them, end up killing them. The other thing you have to worry about in P2, this is when Cruel comes out after you kill Varus. Cruel will do 3 abilities. He'll do Annihilate, which causes primary target to increase all damage taken, and this affects stacks. By the 4th stack, you'll basically be dead on the 4th stack, so make sure you try and kill it within the 3rd stack. Now, if you have cooldowns, you can survive the 4th stack, but it's really sketchy. He'll do another stop, which makes a big green pool under him. That does a lot of damage, just make sure you're stepping out of that. And he also casts an ability called Twisted Reflection. Twisted Reflection is an interruptible spell that places Twisted Reflection on the target. This makes Cruel, whenever he hits the target, make Cruel heal about 5% of his health. Basically, if this goes off, you basically failed, and you gotta go next. The way the Prout Warriors deal with it, you can either interrupt it with Pummel, or you can Spell Reflect it. Spell Reflecting is very good. It's very nice to do. He'll cast it about 2 times throughout the fight before the fight is over, so just make sure you're watching out for that. If that ever gets off, just go next. Meanwhile, also Smoldering Infernos and Nether Horrors will be falling down the whole time. Just worry about that. And also in P1 and P2, there'll be a little bit of Holy Ward Orbs around Velen. I think it spawns up to 4 at any given time, but they do despawn if you don't use them. You'll see me use them periodically throughout the fight to heal the full health, and it interrupts all the adds around it. This is both good in P1 and P2, whenever you're in a dire situation, or you just need an interrupt for everything around you, and you'll see it throughout the fight. Alright, let's jump into it. Alright, here we go. You can see me, I'm not going to use any potions in P1, because P1 only lasts, well, I think 3 minutes, something like that. And you don't really want to use a potion here, you want to really use it for P2. And you see I am facing the eye whenever the Inquisitive Stare goes off. I don't really want to worry too much about this. I get about 6 stacks and then I move out. You don't want to go back into the black circle, or else you will increase your stacks again. So just wait for it to fall off, and then you can just keep DPSing Varith. I'm trying to save Ravager here for whenever the ads come out. Ravager is great for not only picking up the ads at aggro, but also dealing with them. I turn my camera slightly there to the eye and I get knocked back. But Ravager is really giving me that rage to just spam Revenge and spam Victory Rush because I'm killing all the ads. You can see here I use my Intimidating Shout to stop the Drain Life. Do whatever it takes, Pummel, Shockwave, or Intimidating Shout to stop the cast of Drain Life. It is the most important thing. And here you can see I just keep moving. You always want to move when the Infernos are out, because you always risk getting knocked off. It's really easy for Prout Warrior, because if you do get knocked off, you can just charge back right away. But ideally, that's not what you want to do. Also, if you go in and out of the black circle really quickly, you'll just stack up your stacks really quickly of that necrotic aura, so you don't want to do that. Just make sure you have a really good keybind in Victory Rush in this fight, because you will be spamming it a ton. I think something around 30 to 40% of my healing is just Victory Rush throughout this fight. I do have Pummel up, but I'm saving it for Drain Life here. I kick it, and I charge up to the eye once I reach 5 to 8 stacks. You can go up to 8. It was just a little bit riskier at times, so I just played it safe. because P1 is pretty easy with Verith here. You just gotta make sure you don't get knocked off. The eye there is casting. Make sure I turn to looking at it. I don't have Ravager here, so I'm just spamming as much as I can. I use the stun there to deal with that, and I'm here, I'm just getting another Victory Rush proc. Here I run in to kick that Drain Life, and luckily I get knocked in this orb here. It's actually really pog that I did, because it interrupted everything around it, and just does a little bit of minor damage to all the adds around. So here I'm just using all my DPS abilities. I'm just making sure to move for the Infernos, watching the two eyes. I use my Bag of Tricks whenever it's up to kill one of them, because it just one-shots as Volpera. Volpera Pride right there. Just going around cleaning up the eyes here, making sure I stop Drain Life. Drop Ravager here, it kind of misses the adds, it's fine. I'm still getting the Rage increase to spam Revenge, and here I'm just spamming Victory Rush. Victory Rush is so key in this fight. Make sure it's on a really good bind. There's no other way. Shield Slam is always your priority whenever you're in single target. Yeah, I'm just spamming my Thunderclap here. You don't really need to upkeep Shield Block. Varus doesn't really melee. He just spams Mind Rend on you. You can use Spell Reflect to just use for 30% DR. I jump into the orb here. Whenever you are in trouble, make sure you are using the orbs. The orbs do disappear after a time, so if you don't use them, you'll lose them. Here I don't really want to push them, even though I can. I want to make sure I kind of clean up the adds. Not really the Infernos, but these 4 Ghost adds are coming out. I go for the stun here on that Drain Life. Make sure I clean up these Horrors, because I don't really want to go in either with lots of Necrotic Aura stacks, and I also don't want to go in with a lot of Horrors here. So I'm just spamming Victory Rush here to heal up, and we pushed into P2. So like I said here, Cruel will do the Annihilates. Make sure there's nothing on Velen. I taunt the Inferno there. I try to make sure I have Shield Block up for any of the Annihilates. The first 2 Annihilates won't do too much damage. I get out of the green circle here. I actually kept like messing up that Twisted Reflection very early on in my prog on this Mage Tower. So I actually put on a different sound alert on my Weak Aura for it, and I'll link the Weak Aura below. That has all the different things for Cruel. It's something that everyone's kind of using. I use Ravager here to clean up all the little Horrors, making sure that they're not on Velen. I had a couple of times where Velen just died to those Horrors coming out, so I got really paranoid. Here I have Shield Block up. You can see it crushes me, but you know, it's only 2 stacks, so it's completely fine. Infernos don't really kill Velen. It's more of these Horrors that are spawning, so just make sure you're staying relatively close. I get in a little bit of a dire situation here, but I always want to stay near the orbs in case I ever need to run into it, just like that. This is so that whenever the adds are hitting either Velen or you need that really good heal, you can just walk into the orbs. You can see I'm getting a little bit trapped here. He's about to cast a 3rd Annihilate. You want to be topped up for that 3rd Annihilate or have a big defensive. So I didn't using the orb to delay it, but he will recast it. I use Shield Wall here, and you can see it almost kills me. There's multiple times where I did this fight where on that third Annihilate, I didn't have a defensive up, and I just died one shot, my full health bar. So again, I'm just staying near the orb here, just using my Shield Slime and Execute and Thunderclap to pick up the adds. I don't want Velen to die here. Just go into the orb for relative safely, and goodbye Cruel. This took me roughly around maybe 10-12 attempts. I'm not very happy with it, but you know, I was kind of getting used to it. I don't remember ever doing this as Prot in Legion, but yeah, pretty successful. I think with just some practice, everybody can kind of do this. I don't think it was the hardest on Prot Warrior, but it was definitely quite fun, and I love the challenge. Alright guys, I can't wait to see you guys next time. Comment below what you want to see next. Peace!